Howdy.
Hey guys, we're Team
Hello.
Alpha. I'm Jenna. I was an environmentalist.
I'm Wade, and I was the marathoner.
I'm Chris, and I was the leader.
I'm Vonda. I was the observer.
I'm Megan. I was a physician.
I'm Ian, and I was the photographer.
So we'll start by asking, what did everyone think went well about the simulation?
I think we communicated really well. Even at first, there's some miscommunication, but I think overall as a group, we communicated really well and organized really well.
Everyone was really on top of everything they did, or and all the plans at least. By responding, nobody just never did or whatever.
I think everyone took on a role and stuck to it. Everyone played their part for sure. Even in the simulation, whatever their role was, they just took it on.
And during the simulation, no one really got frustrated or emotional or mad at anyone, which I thought was well, even though we all had our own wants and needs and goals.
Yeah,
And at the same time, we all said we had fun with it. You know, we
it's a good time.
it was fun.
Minus the fact that the simulation was really broken.
Yeah, it was
Yeah.
somewhat
Yeah.
broken.
Relation was
Like-
We got really frustrated because we kept having to refresh the page for the simulation, and we didn't realize that until Ian pointed it out. So it took a few minutes to figure it all out.
Yeah.
And we couldn't continue to the next round because some people were still stuck on round 3, some were on round 4, then it'd go back to round 2, and it just on and on and on, this endless cycle.
But I think the difficulties made you guys just work together. That's what I saw. Is just whenever someone's computer got messed up, it just kind of pushed everyone to come together.
I think it was it made it seem like the simulation was supposed to be broken.
Yeah, to test our communication.
Yeah, test our
Yeah.
communication. I don't know if that was if it was actually supposed to be broken, but it was so broken that it seemed like it was on purpose.
Yeah, it was bad.
It's real bad.
But it definitely brought our group closer together, and we learned to work as a team. So that was positive.
So that was mainly what was difficult, and what was beneficial to everybody in the simulation. Do you think?
Well, actually, it was. This wasn't really like any other sort of group project I've done. It wasn't just getting together and doing work. It was fun. Got to know each other.
Yeah.
And it was I actually had a good time. It wasn't just stabbing my needles in my eyes and doing schoolwork. It was
Yeah.
actually kind of fun.
Yeah.
And all of us were on pretty much the same level of what we really knew about the simulation in general, and so we all were kind of figuring it out as we went, which was nice. It wasn't just one person trying to tell everybody else how to do it. It was everybody being oh, try clicking this or try clicking that. Oh,
Yeah.
just hit refresh a million times because I can't move on, but you can and I can't. And now I'm here and you're there and I don't know why. But
Yeah, everyone was helpful.
Yeah.
Whenever there was a problem, when your computer shut down, we all had to wait a little bit for that to boot up, but then we got through that.
yeah.
And I also thought that after a while, after round 1 or 2, once we got used to the simulation and realized, okay, let's check our health first, let's check this first,
Yeah.
let's talk to
Yeah.
a medical person about my health, what can we do about this kind of thing. That after that, I feel like it ran a lot smoother and we were able to progress quicker.
I think you guys started to figure out to check in on everyone else besides just
Before we progressed.
yeah, and that really helped. And I think the team leader really had a impact on how we succeeded because he was the one to check in on all of us and make sure we were all good before we moved on to the next round. So that was really beneficial.
Well, that kind of started because I thought originally I thought we were graded on
Succeeding.
how we all got to the top and how well we succeeded. I didn't know we were, so it was good to see how different I acted, knowing that we weren't graded on it, and knowing that it was okay to fail, but kind of stumbling over my words.
I think once we realized the simulation was more about how we communicated,
Yeah.
our communication was better because at the beginning we were all kind of freaking out trying to get through the simulation, and then when the simulation wasn't working, we all kind of started getting frustrated. But then we were oh yeah, this project is about communicating.
Not getting to the top.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's
It's about the video. that we
Yeah.
discuss.
Yeah.
All right. How about what was frustrating about the whole simulation for you guys?
definitely.
But then also just the simulation in general
Oh, yeah.
was extremely
I was gonna
frustrating
say.
for everybody.
Definitely.
And is there anything you guys would do differently?
Yeah, I think we talked about before that we would read through how to play a little bit better, just so that like when it did start to like malfunction or when it started to not work, we probably would have like recognized that it wasn't working sooner, instead of just being like, why did it send me backwards? And what am I doing? Why am I doing this? Or why can't I progress this way? I think I ended up back. I got taken off the mountain, and then I think I ended up back at like Camp 4,
3
and I
times.
had no
Yeah.
idea how, why, and like. And everyone else was like, "What are you doing?"
I think there was that also miscommunication before the simulation about that the contact info sheet.
Yeah.
There's a little miscommunication.
Well, let's talk about that next, shall we? So for communication, I think that was one of the biggest things that we struggled with at
Yep.
first
Yeah.
in terms of planning and coordinating. We thought we had it well.
Right.
We thought we had it well planned and coordinated. But when it came time to turn in the actual assignment on Friday night, there was a big miscommunication
Well,
within our group.
What happened was Megan couldn't get to her computer.
Yeah, I was
So-
working.
She asked me to put in her contact info, and I was like, yeah, no problem, that's easy. And then, like, sometime before that, Wade was like, yeah, Ian, if you could turn it in, that'd be cool, too, if you can. And I was like, oh, well, he's going to turn it in later, so that's fine. I'm just going to put in her contact info. So I was like, okay, I put in your contact info, and everyone was like, oh, great job, Ian, you really pulled through. And I was like,
I was like,
this
thank you
is-
so much, Ian, for
I was
everything
so
you did. It was so great of you.
I
And
was
then,
like,
when we met up, he was like, or like the next day or something, he was like, wait, did anybody like turn that in?
yeah,
Like, what
I
are you
realized
talking about?
after that they wanted me to turn it in, and that was a miscommunication. But then after that,
Which
I
isn't
feel like the
necessary.
group went pretty smooth, like in terms of like getting together and
Yeah,
I
it
mean,
definitely
we're all
broke the
coordinated.
ice a little bit
So now
too.
let's talk about how we planned and how we coordinated.
Did a lot
Group
of
text was
Internet.
a big form of communication.
yeah. Google Docs was big.
Yeah.
Email.
Everything through technology.
like the social
For sure.
space that like technology creates. You know, like if we didn't have technology, we wouldn't have been able to like
Yeah.
coordinate through text or use the Google Doc.
Yeah.
Like
or
our
even
schedules
film
were
this
so
video.
Yeah.
our schedules were so like different that like without that it would have been a very big challenge.
All right, and for me at least, the hardest part, and I think for everybody, was being able to coordinate our schedules. We're all
Yeah.
pretty busy. We all have
Yeah.
individual things going on, different things going on. We all take a bunch of classes, and it was hard to figure out times where we could meet, coordinate, and that's why honestly it took us until Wednesday to get the simulation done.
Yeah.
Because that we had to keep pushing it off because people couldn't meet or
Work,
things didn't
practice.
happen or
Yeah.
work didn't happen, and things like that. But I thought, and if you want to expound on this, the leaders and what the leaders' roles did in particular.
Well, like as a leader in the simulation, it kind of I don't usually take the leader role like myself, but when I saw that in the simulation my role was the leader, I kind of had to figure out how to get everyone's needs met as best I could while still meeting my own needs, and like after each round checking to make sure everybody's vital signs are okay, or like what's their health, what do they need, what are their goals, and I thought that was pretty valuable to getting along in the simulation.
And that really helped manage the conflict with the simulation. And then outside of the simulation, I thought I took on a pretty big role
I think
Yeah,
I think
Yeah.
before we did the simulation,
getting
of
together.
coordinating our
Yeah.
schedules, asking if this time worked for people, if this time didn't work for people, and stuff,
Yeah, you
stuff
did a
like
great
that.
job.
Yeah.
But at the same time, we all like showed up and like got our work done. So even though we weren't like specifically forced to be here, we all wanted to be here. So that was a plus. Yeah,
And-
everyone was.
Now we should talk about, since you mentioned that, professional and civil groups. Ian, what do you think?
I think
Are we a
it was
professional
like-
or a civil group?
I think we're mostly a professional group since like this is for like a class and we're supposed to be here. But like we have civil aspects in the way that like we don't have to meet and make this video if we really didn't want to. We could like fail the class. That's like our choice to make good grades. But I think for the most part, like since we're all like forced to like be in a group and like we have a goal that we're mostly a professional group with like some civic aspects.
And at the same time, we did not have a higher chain of command. We were all in charge of each other. There
Yeah.
wasn't someone telling us you have to be here at a certain time. It was basically
It was mutual.
relying on each other.
Yeah.
Teamwork.
Yeah.
I think we did a good job overall, of, like working as a team, like with that volunteer
So
aspect.
now let's talk about teamwork. Anyone want to talk about teamwork?
I don't know. I saw you guys overcome like a lot of with like technical difficulties. You guys really came together as a team. That was my biggest thing I saw. And then Chris took a big role before the simulation even started, and he was just like, "Okay, what's everyone's goal like as your role?" And I think that really helped just like bring the individuals together as a one thing, as one group.
Yeah, I don't know. I thought that we all just like paid really good attention to not only what was going on with us, but everybody else. We all asked questions. We all made sure we knew exactly what was going on, and we knew exactly what was going on with like any malfunctions or like anything that was going wrong. We like definitely stayed really on top of that. Like anytime anybody experienced anything, they could just say it. Like, hey, stop! I'm not there yet. I don't know what's wrong. And then we'd talk about it, try to figure it out. And then once that person was back on track, then we would move forward and not, it wasn't just like, okay, well, I can't wait for you guys anyway. I'm gonna go to the top or like whatever, or I'm just gonna go to the top because I can wait because your goal was to wait here or like whatever. So I thought that was really good.
I think it was nice that like no one like steamrolled anyone else. Like no one was
Yeah.
like, we're gonna do this, but like
Yeah.
there's like a nice back and forth between everybody.
Agreed. Okay, and now let's talk about managing the conflict. In particular, our schedule conflicts and the simulation conflicts.
I think technology was both our friend and
Yeah.
our
And then
enemy in the way that like we wouldn't have been able to get together without technology, but also like we couldn't really do the simulation that well because it was so broken. So broken.
And the communication processes through technology were somewhat fuzzy. I felt at times it wasn't.
Yeah,
It was a lot
Yeah.
harder to coordinate schedules through a group message than it would have been sitting down and writing out each of our schedules for a day. and stuff
Right.
like that.
But with that too, like, we don't always know like our work schedules and stuff like ahead of time. Like I think that was my biggest thing on like Friday when I was trying to like get the information to you. I was like, oh God, I only work one day, which is great, but trying to figure that out and then not having enough time.
All right, now let's talk about decision making. How do you think we were able to make decisions as a group?
I think that in the simulation we like looked at our personal needs and the overview of like what the next day or the day is going to be like, and then we kind of came together and talked about it as a group. So that helped us like succeed. And like if someone needed medical help or something, like we were able to tell Megan and she could like do her part in the simulation, and we all just cooperated with each other.
I think as a group we were all really responsive to each other, and that made it like really easy because like we work with some groups where like one person doesn't really care or whatever, but I think overall we all like were listening to each other, and like you two took like pretty big leadership roles, like you coordinating and you like during the simulation, that made it ran really smooth.
And to conclude, I would like to say that I think overall our group communication was stellar, especially throughout the simulation, but at the beginning it somewhat faltered. And we overcame that, and I think we all learned a lot from that.
It was an overall positive experience for all of us, I think.
Go team!
Go team!
Go team.
Alpha.
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 Let's go, Bucks.